All right, let's jump right in. I want you to imagine a scenario that sounds, well, like pure science fiction, but actually reveals a ton about human psychology. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, looking at your family, your friends, maybe even your dog, though for this explainer, let's just stick to humans, because I'm really not sure we want to know how often the dog thinks about cheese. But seriously, imagine suddenly hearing their actual thoughts instead of their spoken words. And I don't mean guessing what they mean. I'm talking about a crystal clear, live broadcast of the inner workings of their minds. It's a wildly fascinating premise. So let's unpack exactly what happens when that filter between our brains and the outside world completely vanishes.
Right out of the gate, the shock would be absolute. Picture this. You're looking at someone you've known for years. They're smiling right at you. But then you hear it, "I don't trust him." Boom. Just like that. Hidden doubts from people you completely trust are suddenly thrust right out into the open. The sheer chaos of those first few moments would be literally overwhelming, as all those unsaid truths of human interaction just hit you at rapid-fire speed.
But it wouldn't just be the heavy, relationship-shattering stuff either. In the very next second, you'd quickly transition to hearing the completely mundane, everyday panics popping into people's heads. You look at your classmate or your teacher and hear this frantic, "Oh no, I forgot my homework." The sheer volume of random, unfiltered panic, like, did I leave the stove on? Is there spinach in my teeth? Wait, did I lock the front door? All of that would just become a constant buzzing backdrop to everyday life.
And then, the deeper resentments start to emerge. Deeply buried secrets are suddenly broadcast out loud to literally everyone in the room. You're standing next to your coworker, your boss, or your partner, and you hear, "Man, I wish I could quit my job." Psychologists actually point out that white lies and polite fictions, they're the glue that keeps society running smoothly. And without them, those fictions are instantly stripped away. There's absolutely no more hiding behind a professional smile or a polite nod.
So, this brings us to the ultimate question we're tackling in this explainer. Is universal mind reading a path to a beautiful, totally honest paradise? Or is it a super fast track to absolute, fiery destruction? Let's break down the actual mechanics of how humanity would respond to this sudden superpower.
Section 1. The day everything changes. Within minutes of this happening, complete confusion turns into a terrifying realization. It is real. You aren't going crazy, and nobody can hide their thoughts. Teachers know exactly who actually studied. Parents know exactly when their kids are lying to them. Within hours, the entire internet just explodes. Hashtag mind reading becomes the biggest trend in human history as people frantically try to crowdsource what the heck is going on. And within days, society begins a massive, permanent shift as everyone realizes there is simply no going back to the way things were.
Section 2. Relationships, the brutal truth.
So on one hand, some relationships would forge into unbreakable bonds. There's zero lying anymore. You know exactly who your real friends are. No fake compliments, no polite chuckles at bad jokes. It's just the pure, unadulterated truth. But on the flip side, instant breakups, shattered hearts. I mean, imagine looking at your partner and suddenly hearing, "I still love my ex." Or handing them an anniversary present and instantly hearing, "Wow, I hate this gift." A huge number of human bonds rely on gentle omissions, and they would shatter instantaneously under the weight of total transparency.
Section 3. Work, school, and politics.
Imagine sitting in a classroom. Before anyone even raises a hand, the teacher already knows who has the answer. Cheating on exams becomes mathematically impossible because dishonest intentions are instantly broadcasted. Because of this, schools are basically forced to focus on true understanding rather than just surface-level memorization. And moving over to the business world, job interviews become brutally honest. The interviewer knows if you're faking it, and you know if they actually value their employees. Salespeople can't trick customers anymore. Manipulative ads lose all their psychological power. Scams? Poof, they vanish overnight. Businesses are forced to compete on pure, unadulterated honesty.
And in governance, we hit a really fascinating crossroads. Yes, citizens finally get to hear what politicians actually believe. False promises vanish, corruption is exposed immediately. Honestly, it sounds like a democratic dream, right? But look at the cost. Every private doubt a leader has becomes intensely stressful public knowledge. Imagine a global crisis where the public hears a leader's momentary internal panic or uncertainty. We finally get transparent leaders for sure, but at the cost of intense collective public paranoia.
Section 4. The end of crime.
Think about it. Intentions are broadcasted before the act even happens. A bank robber formulates a plan, the police already hear it. Hackers start organizing a cyber attack, governments know immediately. Fraud and premeditated crimes become incredibly difficult, if not completely impossible to pull off, simply because the element of surprise is entirely gone. The justice system would transform overnight, as crimes get stopped before they even happen.
But here is where we really need to pump the brakes. Psychologists call these intrusive thoughts, and pretty much everyone has them. Having a strange, fleeting, or even dark idea pop into your head is absolutely not the same as actively committing a crime. Society would have to learn a really difficult lesson, and fast. The human brain often generates chaotic noise that does not reflect our true character or our actual intentions. The danger of legally punishing people for the involuntary misfires of their own imagination, that's a massive, massive threat in this new world.
Section 5. The death of privacy.
Now this is where we spring the trap and realize this incredible superpower is actually a living nightmare for our mental well-being. Thousands, according to cognitive scientists, thousands of random, strange, and passing thoughts run through a normal human brain every single day. And having a thought doesn't mean we actually believe it. But imagine being judged for every single misfire. Everyone around you hearing every random, embarrassing idea. The endless misunderstandings would be totally exhausting. You could literally never be truly alone with your own mind ever again.
Of course, human ingenuity and, well, capitalism would immediately adapt. We'd definitely see a technological arms race to invent mind shields to block our thoughts from broadcasting. Completely new industries would spawn overnight. Mental privacy consultants and mind security experts would emerge as the most sought-after professionals in the world. People would probably hire thought translators just to clarify the constant daily misunderstandings. Ultimately, true mental privacy would become the world's most expensive and valuable resource, with the ultra-wealthy paying billions simply to protect the sanctity of their own heads.
Section 6. Our truthful, caged future.
So let's look years into the future. Past the initial chaos and all those technological adjustments, we ultimately face a grand dilemma, trading the freedom of our private imagination for a perfectly truthful society. We'd have a whole generation of children growing up never knowing what a lie even is. Honesty is totally normal. Trust is ironclad. But their minds would be in cages. They'd be terrified to let a stray thought slip. Because everyone fears being judged too quickly for a fleeting impulse, people would become hyper-careful about what they even allow themselves to think. Creativity and cognitive freedom would suffer immensely in a highly suppressed, self-policing society. Humanity becomes way more truthful, yes, but fundamentally less free.
So, what does this all mean? Would a world where everyone could read minds become a peaceful, honest paradise, or the most stressful, restrictive place in human history? Would you actually want this power? Or would you choose to keep your messy, beautiful, chaotic thoughts private forever? It's a really heavy choice to weigh, and it completely changes how you look at the simple act of telling a white lie. Think about it. Until next time, keep exploring.